Hello, citizens of the future. Citizen of the future here. Today, this video is going to be, I'm going to talk about the regulated XDC network, but the basics. I did a deep dive the other day, which you guys seen, and a lot of you liked it, which is awesome, and you guys use the knowledge for research. So I'm going to start creating more and more content to help provide information and education to help you other citizens out there that are willing to learn. So first of all, before we get started here, I'm just going to read a disclaimer here. So none of this is financial advice. I'm not paid to create any of this. I hold XDC and believe in long-term potential. But the reason I create this content is because I see a lack of good educational information out there on regulated utility blockchains. And I want to help share my knowledge to help other citizens get a chance to see and participate in the blockchain revolution, and try and understand what's happening in these nascent markets, because they're so new and there's so much going on, and there's so much information and there's so little time. I've been researching these markets for the last 4 years. And I've been teaching myself and using Twitter and reading regulated documents, and there's so much information out there that you have to go through to get a step up in this game. And I just want to help make a change and just help some of you guys see some of this information. So to get started, let's get started here. So what is XDC Network? XDC Network is a tokenized economy, regulated infrastructure. They work with banks, tier 1 banks all over the world. And so I'm just going to use some of these images and that I wrote in these educational threads. So in this tokenized ecosystem, you can have citizens, communities, anyone with a mobile phone or access to the internet can create an XDC wallet and participate in global trade in this token liquidity pool. So you can have financial institutions, universities, anyone can build on the XDC network. So that's huge. It's open source. You can see all transactions 24/7, 365. It's auditable. So all these transactions that happen on this tokenized ledger are trackable. You can see what address sent to where, et cetera, et cetera. Governments can build on XDC. They can create central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. And what is a central bank digital currency? Well, it's a digital dollar. So legal tender of a digital dollar. So that's what's coming in these next few years. So that's just a broad outlook. Is we're dealing with a tokenized ecosystem that's built on blockchain distributed ledger technology. Okay, guys, before I continue further, I just want to go over the tokenomics of XDC Network because I forgot to put this in. So there's a total market cap of 37,500,000,000 tokens. And that is the number, that's how many tokens there will ever be in existence. There will never be any more printed. So that's the good thing about these tokenized economies, is compared to our fiat dollars, they're printing 30-40% of the supply in the last 2 years. So XDC, we got a max cap of 37.5 billion, and the total tokens currently in circulation is 12,183,000,000. And they have allocated this much here. They've allocated 40% to the founders, so to XinFin for community development, bug bounties, ecosystem development. I'll put this in here so you guys, in the video description, so you guys can see how it all tallies up. So 40% of the supply have been allocated to the founders, community, core team, and advisors of the project. That sums up a total of 15 billion tokens, whereas 3% is released every year from the past 3 years. From the past 3 years, 1.35 billion tokens have been released. However, founders have not sold any amount of tokens yet. But few ex-core team members and advisors have sold their part in the market in 2018, 2019. So they have it so it's released slowly every year. So they can't just dump the whole supply, unlike some of these shitcoin networks out there. Ecosystem development, 26.67% of the total supply of tokens, amounting to 10 billion XDC, is allocated for ecosystem development of the XinFin, TradeFinex, and other DApps, where 2.5% releases every year until now. A total of 750 million has been released from the past 3 years. This also includes the XDC allocated for bounty programs also. XinFin has allocated a total of 6.6% of tokens to be used in case of any unexpected circumstances. The total XDC tokens allocated for in any form of contingency sits at 2.5 billion tokens. All tokens are currently locked and will not be brought into circulation unless there is an emergency. So, you know, it could be a hack, it could be many different scenarios, whatever they deem important. The remaining 26% of the supply represents the tokens for AlphaX, Exchange, Masternode, Stake, Burnt tokens, and other circulating supply. This totals 10 billion XDC tokens. Of there are currently 4 billion XDC held by users of old XDC chain in form of mainnet XDC and still holding in the old closed wallets. These tokens are stored with users of the old XDC chain. So I think those are burned now because XDCE is now gone. What else? So, yeah, I'm happy with the tokenomics. It can't be mass dumped. Masternode, if you guys don't know, you can, if you have 10 million XDC tokens right now, I think it's $900,000. You can host a node. And a node is what validates transactions. So nodes are what validate transactions. As you can see here, this is just an example of all the nodes. They work through consensus, so they verify with others to make sure a block is correct and that it's not corrupt or forged. If you guys haven't seen, I recommend you check out Walter Blue. Here he is, right here. Walter Blue on Twitter. WBLUEU. So he creates a lot of good XDC content. He now works for the XinFin Foundation. He used to create these awesome infographics. So this last one that he created was in October 20th. And it just shows the wallet growth of XDC network. So as you can see, the wallet growth, it used to be 10,000 wallets August, or 110,000 wallets over here, total accounts, 110,000 wallets around August there, and up until October when he did this last one, it was around 510,000. Now we're sitting around 715,000 wallets. So, and then his other one here, yeah, that's what I want. Oh, sorry, my internet just glitched out. So this is just an example of his sweet rich list. So XDC also has a block explorer, which also shows all the accounts. So for example, here's their XinFin block explorer, which allows you to see all the top accounts. You can go through it, sift through it. It also shows how many master nodes. So right now there's 194 master nodes, but I'm going to go back to Blue's diagram because this gives you an insight into what it looks like. So there's 488,000 accounts that have 0 to 499 XDC. So if you get a big bag of this, you know, you can be sitting pretty happy for the next couple of years if you get a good entry. You know, to be in the top 1% of the network, you just need 52,000 XDC. You want to be in the top 0.5%, 156,000. But think again, this was 2 months ago, so numbers are a little off. But Walter, if you're seeing this, we need another one. We need another infographic to celebrate 2022 because I love these. These are what I look forward to. Just to let you guys know, every transaction that happens, it burns a little bit of XDC. That fraction of a cent gets burnt. So this is a deflationary token ecosystem because as more and more transactions go on, this burnt XDC gets bigger. So there's 194 master nodes to date, and there's 714,000 accounts, and that was since October. So check out Walter Blue. He's created some good content around XDC, and yeah. So let's move on with some fundamental analysis for XDC that I got planned for the rest of the video. I hope you guys learned some good stuff. So one of the main benefits so everyone here has used Ethereum network. And the big problem with Ethereum is it has bottlenecks. It's really unscalable when there's lots of usage. Fees can be anywhere from $30 to $150. And that is not scalable, because if a business was to build on Ethereum, the gas fees would make them go broke. And so the sweet thing about XDC network, talking about scalability and gas fees, is XDC can run Ethereum virtual machine contracts, so EVM contracts, that's what Ethereum smart contracts are, for a fraction of a cent, and it settles in 4 seconds, guaranteed. That's huge, because, you know, when I've used Ethereum, I did 8 transactions, and it cost me $800 American. That is enough to do 10 lifetimes of transactions on the XDC network. So what we're seeing now is, since XDC network is EVM compatible, a lot of businesses are moving from Ethereum over to XDC network, because if you can run an Ethereum smart contract, you can run it on XDC for a fraction of a cent, and it settles in 2 seconds. So that's a big one with XDC here, and I'm going to just bring up this here. This is welcome to my mind map. If you're just checking in on on this video here, this is what I call my Cryptoverse mind map, where I keep track of all documents that I've seen and stuff throughout time in my time in the markets here. So as we see here, here's a comparison of blockchain networks. We got Ethereum over here. They got 20 trades per second. Okay, that is terrible. But it runs Solidity. It runs off proof of work, which is moving to proof of stake. But over here you got, XDC network. It can run up to 2,000 trades per second, and it's fraction of a cent fees each time, and that is huge. So this is why I see a lot of faith in XDC network, was because, one, they're working with tier 1 banks. 2, you can guarantee and you can count on your transactions settling for fractions of a cent. So a big thing about XDC network, as we just talked about Ethereum smart contracts. So XDC can run smart contracts. And if you don't know what a smart contract is, it's a contract between two parties that doesn't need an intermediary to execute. So that means, for example, here we got Alice and Bob. Alice and Bob, they both agree on terms for the swap. So both sides of the contract, say Alice has $100, Bob has his XDC or whatever. He has whatever the person wants, whether it's another token or whatever, and they're trading between each other. And instead of having to go find somebody to say as an intermediary to be like, hey, when Alice puts up the funds and I put up the funds, I want you to swap it for us. A smart contract is built in code of the blockchain. It's a smart contract swap. So when both sides are met, this contract auto executes and swaps it. So both parties get what they want. There is no trusting a third party, and then sometimes when you trust a third party, the third party screws off and you both get screwed. So that's what is revolutionary about smart contracts. And with XDC network, it can execute a smart contract for a fraction of a cent and settles in two seconds, which is huge, because Ethereum, you got to pay anywhere from $10 to $100 to initiate a smart contract, right? So, and here's another picture that you guys, if you're new and you don't know how a smart contract works, take a screenshot of this. It just shows, when the event is agreed on, both assets are released to both parties, and then this transaction is always available. So anything that happens on a blockchain is tracked for the rest of its life. It's written on the wall. It's written in stone. There is no going back. So That's why you always got to triple check before you enter any smart contracts, etc., etc. So, okay, onwards and upwards. Let's see, what am I going to get into next here? So, other things that you can look at, Andre Casterman, he's a tech genius. He's board member with the ITFA. I went over this in the other video. I'm not going to go on it again. Inizio, I touched on this a bit in the other video, but what Inizio is, it's a digital document original. So Inizio built on XDC Network. So they use XDC Network for their tokenization infrastructure for their digital documents. So basically, they attach the file, whether it's an invoice, a PDF, they attach it to a blockchain on XDC, and they attach it to the transfer, and they send it using XDC. So it settles at a fraction of a cent, and settles in 2 seconds here. So I'm just going to show you here just so I can walk you through this. So the public DLT offers financial institutions a common notary to exchange original trade documents for guarantees, bills of exchanges, and promissory notes. And so here's one. They send e-banking, which is Inizio, is patented invention to create and handle authoritative digital original documents. So it gets sent to one institution, and then it can get sent to any other institutions. And if there's any changes along the way, it is tracked on the blockchain. For example, digital documents. So a big thing with the problem in today's system, whether it's supply chain, banking, many different industries, is you got to have paper copies. You got to store them in a vault right here. It's just paper is a mess. It's a huge waste of time and money. And so what they're doing, what Inizio is doing, is creating a digital document standard that uses a blockchain to track these documents so they're always accessible. You have the original copy. And for example, see, here's Inizio, and then you got the file. You add your content to it. Yeah, and then you attach it to the blockchain, which is here. And then along the way, whether it gets changed 1 to 100 times, it's all time stamped. It shows when it was changed, and it shows where it was changed and who changed it. So it's completely trackable, and it's attached securely on a blockchain, and it's also anonymous. So here's DDoS specifications with Inizio's trace original. First, to comply. Private data on a file, there's the digital document we were just talking about. And then it's public DLT. So all the person sees, sorry, the quality, sometimes my images don't load fully on here, but trace original, it shows this. So on the outside, they just see an ID. And then only people with the keys, so the sender and the receiver that have the keys to get it, will be able to see the file. So anyone outside, they won't be able to see what's in the file. All they will be able to see is there's a transaction made from wallet A to wallet B. And while we're talking about Inizio, I'm going to show you guys so you guys can completely understand it. Inizio's public DLT. So this is just what it sort of looks like in the technical network here, like in the behind the scenes here. You got the File Act with Swift. So partnering with Swift is huge. And you got China Systems, which is huge. E-banking, so you got clients. Banks' own internal or cloud-based transaction processing system. So it works with their processing system. So banks don't even have to really modify their hardware or anything. It's just completely integratable into their systems. So it's just a matter of time until mass adoption, and this really starts going. And here is proof that Inizio uses XDC Network. So thank you, Andre Casterman, for creating awesome educational information. I've learned so much from this guy. So in the DNI initiative, you got Inizio here, and they use document processing solutions, which is TradeStream uses XDC. They got Finastra, China Systems, and then tokenization infrastructure, XDC Network. This is huge. So head of TradeStream. This was a thing that I cut out. I thought this was awesome. TradeStream has a cutting edge AI ML based trade processor, which combines synergistically with digital documents. We foresee a paperless world of trade finance where documents are shaped digitally, processed automatically, with settlement possible in real time between parties based on data alone. The ITFA-led D&I initiative is a significant step in the direction, and we are excited to be a part of it. So there is no more waiting for the paper documents to get sent to the other office, to get sent across the country. They settle in real time. So you have automation. This is providing system automation in digital documents, which is huge because now it's you can sift through it with AI. You can pick apart. You don't have to be sifting through files manually. You don't have to have all these files being stored in vaults. So another thing just to talk as we're talking on DDoC, DDoC supports a variety of trade-focused market initiatives as well as any proprietary format. So in the other video that I did, I was talking about UN CITRAL, model law, and electronic transfer records. This is the United Nations standard for digital documents that it meets. ICC, the Digital Trade Standards Initiative. So it's DSI, Digital Trade Standards Initiative. And that uses Trade Trust and XDC Network. DNI Initiative uses XDC Network. These other ones, electronic bill and lading, electronic C waybill. So it's all interoperable. And that is what is huge. Because interoperability between thousands of countries or companies worldwide is a headache. It's friction. It's slow. It's costly. Like it's a big problem. And this is solving the interoperability aspects. Here's another one good for you guys to see. All good aspects of a paper document digitalized. Inizio. So you got your paper, original versus copy, possession, transferability, presentation, data privacy. That all is met with Inizio. Immutability, traceability, and fraud. So once you send a document, it's on the ledger. You can't delete it. It's done. So, years down the road, like for example, banks only hold files for 10 years, transactions for 10 years. But on a blockchain, it's for life. This blockchain is going to run, say, 20 years from now. And all the transactions that are happening today are going to be on that blockchain. Okay, so I think that's enough for Inizio. And, well, I guess I better just go over this. So there's centralized platforms versus decentralized platforms. So DLT offers new opportunities for digital original documents across institutions and platforms. That's what I just explained to you. So there's centralized model platforms. Banks and clients sign up to a common document platform to exchange originals. A digital original is only valid within the chosen platform. Document ownership and transfer of ownership managed by the chosen platform. So, say a bank like HSBC, they might use a platform to interoperate with TD Bank and like other big banks. But when you get this DLT model, it doesn't need a common platform. It is worldwide. Anyone that has access to the internet can make an XDC wallet, can make a blockchain wallet, and can participate in this global liquidity pool. And there's many different things that are being built on XDC. And I will get into that a little bit later. So that is just one use case that is built on XDC that is huge. Okay, so now I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to back out here. So, difficulties in global trade finance. So paper. This is how big paper is of a problem. And I put this all in threads so you can go through it yourself. Take your time, examine all the documents, all the information that I put together, and hopefully you can learn something from it. So, difficulties in paper and cross-border trade. So when you're talking about global trade of whether it's stuff coming from China, like getting shipped all across the world, you're going through many different siloed systems. You got many exchanges of information, whether it's from port authorities to carriers to manufacturers to the receivers to terminals. And these paper documents are transferring all through all these. And well, what happens if it gets damaged or something's wrong? Then they got to make phone calls. They got to try and get it all figured out. And this adds a lot of stress to the market time, which we already know there's a supply chain crisis right now due to COVID and the backlog. But look at this: cost of documentation is 20% of the total cost of shipping. 20%. That is ridiculous for paper. For like, I feel ripped off. To you? So this inefficiency is costly. So picture this. I'm going to put a picture in your head. Global trade, they have these paper documents for ships that have thousands, hundreds of thousands of containers on it, and they all have paper. But if you have digitalized documents, you can attach these invoices to a QR code. So instead of dealing with all this paper and having to verify that it's legit and it's not corrupted in any way, you scan a QR code. So imagine at port authorities, you scan a QR code, and then it just pulls up the information. You can validate it in real time, and it's trackable. So anytime that QR code, say you're leaving the manufacturer, gets to the carrier, they scan the QR code, it checks in, timestamps it where it is, it gets to the port where they load it onto a ship, they scan the QR code, boom, it timestamps it, loaded on the ship. So now you have real-time digital tracking for shipments going worldwide. Because now, it gets into the port where it's getting unloaded, boom, digital track, they scan it, boom, timestamped, it's scanned, it's on the courier, it's getting shipped out. You have real-time tracking, which is a pain in the ass. So one big partnership that I would like to mention here right now is ADGM. So you guys got to remember, crypto is global. It is worldwide. It is an open digital asset. Anyone can participate. So people that are from, US and Canada here, we don't think about, Singapore, Asia, Japan. Well, I'll tell you what, US is lagging behind. Canada is lagging behind because Singapore, Japan, Dubai, these countries are embracing crypto assets and they are using them to benefit their systems, to help automate, to help make things work smoother. So one big thing here is XinFin becomes the official participant in Abu Dhabi Global Market Sandbox to live test TradeFinex platform. Well, what is TradeFinex? Okay, what is TradeFinex? TradeFinex is revolutionary because what they do is they use this tokenized ecosystem and they tokenize digital derivatives and stocks and bonds. So instead of having to, you cash out your stocks at the bank, it takes 2 days to get into your account. Well, if you're using tokenized stocks, so a stock that has a digital twin that is on these blockchain networks, you can cash out and it cashes out instantly. So how TradeFinex works and what is TradeFinex? So let's hop into that here. So as we see here, TradeFinex, you got banks and fintech companies. They have origination, so it signs a payment obligation smart contract, also backed by an offline contract. So, and who can be in there? Credit rating agencies, underwriters, insurance collateralizing the origination risk with digital asset XDC/stablecoin. And then here's the TradeFinex platform. So you have tokenized securitization, decentralized finance, smart contracts. So you can have stocks, you can have so many different things tokenized that you can trade on the XDC network. You can also do this on other blockchain networks. I'm not saying this is the only one that's doing it, but I'm saying this is being built on XDC, and that's huge. So that's just what it looks like. Okay. So if you're not wowed already, well, let me just dig a little deeper here. So financing using TradeFinex platform. Real-time reporting and governance, data storage and cloud. So this is a technical diagram. TradeFinex, you can get global investors. So you're no longer just investing with people in your country or just in North America. It's worldwide, right? So you got XDC smart contracts between suppliers, governments, whatever, all tracked on a blockchain. Internet of Things enabled data transmission, so it's all transmitted all over the internet. You got your user base, your contract bank account. So one day when regulations comes in, we're going to be able to trade. We're going to be able to access these real regulated blockchain utility networks right from our bank accounts. We're just waiting for them to finally update their infrastructure to be interoperable with legacy finance to these new regulated blockchain networks. It's just a matter of time. So buyer post trade query on TradeFinex, suppliers review query and submit proposals, buyers and suppliers accept the proposal, buyer deposit funds into escrow smart contracts. So if you're buying or selling a stock, this is all automated behind the scenes, right? Buyer and supplier wallet integration and smart contract, buyer and supplier enter into blockchain-based smart contract, supplier completes contractual milestones and submits to smart contract, buyer deposits funds into an escrow smart contract, trade completion and closure of the smart contract. So it's just, that's the life cycle of a trade, right? Like you hit buy, it enters in the smart contract to, you're trading your fiat to the crypto, and it will initiate that smart contract for you. Okay. I think that's good on TradeFinex. But yeah, it's a digitalized trading platform. You can read all this highlighted information in that. Here, I'm just going to pull this up here. Oh yeah, so guys, before I read this, I just want to say, I'm giving you guys straight foundational facts on these networks. I'm not a hype YouTuber. I'm not gonna be like, oh, we're gonna moon tomorrow. So don't be those people that are like, when moon, when moon, when, oh, like, it's not like, I can't tell you when this market is gonna rocket. No, it's about public adoption, and it's about the growth of these networks, right? This is foundational facts. So this is fundamental analysis. So I'm never gonna be a hype YouTuber where I'm just telling you, oh, you're gonna moon next week. You're gonna be getting Lambos. Stuff like that. You got to build the facts, and this is a long-term game. This isn't, there's short-term price action, and then there's long-term price action. Over the long term, we're going to see massive growth. Over the short term, if you sell too soon, well, then you just give off your tickets to someone else. So I just want to point that out. So let's get back at it. This removes siloed networks. They have global public investors and others with a shared vision and ambition to participate in the development strategy of this decentralized hybrid blockchain-powered global trade and finance platform. Global trade and finance platform. That's what we are participating in with XDC Network and TradeFinex. The consortium will be initiated out of the Global Financial Innovation Network, GFIN, regulatory member Abu Dhabi Global Markets in the regulated sandbox RegLab environment. As an official participant of the ADGM sandbox, XinFin can live test TradeFinex across the MENA region with the support and regulatory assistance, thus accelerating towards its scalability and robustness. We invite infrastructure project practitioners and investors involved in essential public infrastructure projects to become consortium members. Consortium members are people that are joining this revolution of using blockchain for different things. So, what else here? So XDC, like I said in the other video, it's going after a $19 trillion trade finance asset class. So the trade finance asset class here, so right here, you'll see it in this picture. That's huge. Like right now, we're at $1 billion in this network. So $1 billion in perspective of time is 32 years. And $1 trillion in an aspect of time is 31,688 years. So then times that by 19. That's how much money $19 trillion is. And so if they even get 10% of that, that equals $1.9 trillion. And that's only 10%. So I'm going to show you guys some numbers here to manipulate the market cap to show what it could look like in the future. So I go over here to what's called Coin Perspective, and it allows you to change the market cap. But so let's start off by just saying $40 billion. That's the size of XRP. So when XDC is currently at $1 billion market cap, one day when that hits $40 billion, the same size of XRP is today, that's $3.27. Okay, so then, like let's look at, say, 400 billion. At 400 billion, we're at $32. And we're not even at the 1.9 trillion, say 10% of the asset class that they're actually trying to fill the gap with. So this is long term. This is probably like 10, 15 years when full adoption is using XDC network for jurisdictions around the world in global trade. So we say 1.9 trillion, we go 1900, $1.9 trillion. It could be $155 a token. Now this is just theory. This isn't financial advice. I'm not hyping it up saying, oh, this could be next week. No, this is long-term perspective. This is what it will look like at full stream adoption. This is only 10% of that asset class of what they're going for. So it could be higher one day, but I'm not going there because it's just too much funky dory. So I'm going to move on now. But that's not financial advice or anything. That's just showing to manipulate the numbers to see what it would look like. So another big thing is if you guys don't know what R3 Corda is, you should look into it. R3 is a revolutionizing platform for banks and small medium enterprises worldwide. So R3 is an enterprise software firm that is pioneering digital industry transformation. Its proprietary platform, Corda, is digitalizing the processes and systems that firms rely on to connect and transact with each other, and has more than 350 institutions deploying, servicing, and building on it. R3 has also brought together over 140 regulators, central banks, commercial banks, exchanges, technology and payments companies to focus on the technology, policy and impact of digital currencies issued by a central bank, CBDC, including Project Ubin by the Monetary Authority of Singapore and Project Jasper by the Bank of Canada. So if you guys don't know what those are, Project Ubin and Project Jasper, they are trials. They were proof of concepts using blockchain and DLT with those Bank of Canada and Monetary Authority of Singapore. So a big thing that I'm going to point out here is R3 Corda uses XDC for their DASL bridge, which this DASL bridge is to connect. So XDC is a public blockchain, but there's also going to be private blockchains. So private blockchains are like a central bank digital currency or JPM coin, privatized, so we can't see the transactions going on behind closed doors. So R3 Corda network set to go live with XDC network. So they use right here's the Yahoo article about the DASL bridge, and it's they say XinFin is an enterprise-ready hybrid blockchain technology, and this bridge enables XDC to move from the XDC network over to the public Corda network to be used as a settlement token inside the Corda ecosystem. So the Corda ecosystem has privatized apps that doesn't show the transactions. So it's showing that we can use the DASL bridge here. Where did I go back here? Right here, anyhow. So here you go. You got the public Corda network, and this acts as a bridge so they can go from Corda, enter a contract, and then it can swap over to Ethereum and other networks. So it's just an interoperability bridge to go from private to public blockchains. You can read up about it. I put some content in the thread there. So another thing, so there's where it is. Yeah, I'll show you the DASL bridge. So right here, DASL bridge has a bridge to public blockchains with the arrival of Ethereum-based XDC. So XDC was originally built on Ethereum, then they built their own mainnet that can run EVM smart contracts. Let's see. So this is just an example here. HSBC, we know they're part of the TFD initiative. I talk about this in the other video there. The TFD initiative is when you look at this thread, it will show you all these companies that are involved with the TFD initiative: HSBC, ING, Standard Charter, World Trade Organization, ICC, which is International Chamber of Commerce. This is that consortium of networks. So it's a network of networks that are using blockchain infrastructure to automate global trade. If you don't know, now you know. Hey guys, just a quick break here. If you guys find anything helpful, like, comment, leave some feedback, let me know how I'm doing and if this helps. Cheers guys, let's continue. So Abu Dhabi Global Markets, I'm just going to show you how they use blockchain. So they're using a digital platform where financial institutions and fintech firms can collaborate, test, and develop innovative solutions for the financial services sector in a controlled environment supervised by the regulator. So if they're proving this as a success, it's happening, and one day other countries are going to follow in the G7 and the G20. So here you got incumbents, banks, insurers, brokers, fund managers, and they can all connect to this digital lab using APIs and middleware. And sorry for I hate when it doesn't load fully and clear, because these all used to be clear and now it's not fully loading. But here we go. Enabling trusted cross-border interoperability of digital trade documents. Legal recognition of the cross-border digital documents. E-invoices, electronic bills of ladings, between jurisdictions of equivalent legislative framework. So they're saying all around the world, there's different jurisdictions, and once they come out with this legislative framework that accepts digital documents, it'll be interoperable. Digital Lab as a utility for the digital ecosystem in testing environments. So you got buyers, you got ports and customs, you got shipping, ports and customs again, sellers, and export banks. They can all move digital documents from bills of ladings, invoices, certificate of origins, and purchase orders. That's huge. Digitalize it all, and then you get the data points, right? And I attached this in the other video. If you haven't watched it, check it out. I go in deep depth. That other one's deep depth. This one's more basic. So digitalizing invoices. So instead of paper, you don't get these data points, but when you digitalize it, you get all these data points. Okay. Now, so I go over this in the other video too, but I'm just going to go over a deeper, quick rundown for you guys since this is a beginner video. So R3 Corda, that's the one that I was talking about. I showed you that they use XDC network. They also use XRP network for settlement. It's all up to the customer what they want to use. So R3 Corda has partnered with XDC. This is my mind map that I created for everyone to see the partnerships that I put together. And just so you guys can see the foundational connections that they're making, which is huge. So XDC also has these tokens built on top of the XDC network. So these tokens actually run on the XDC foundational infrastructure. So one day we're going to see hundreds more tokens that build on XDC. Because why? Why would they build on it? Because no gas fee, like it's fraction of a cent and it settles in 2 seconds and it's been working and it's in a regulated environment. Huge. They also have a decentralized exchange, which is Globiance. PLI, which is a decentralized Oracle network for the XDC network. They have StoreX, which is a decentralized file system. I had some red flags on StoreX a couple months ago. They nuked a third of their node holders out of nowhere. They just said, oh, you guys weren't meeting requirements to maintain your nodes. And so I think 1,900 node operators and 3 out of 5 nodes that I updated a week before, they're updated, running perfectly fine, and they shut them down for no reason. And if there's a problem with the nodes like they said they were, well, all 5 of mine would have got shut down. So there's some red flags on StoreX. I still hold a couple nodes, but I lost a lot of respect in just how they treated the community. They're not active in their Discord. They don't have any technical support, barely any, and just really put a bad name in my books on StoreX. WTK, awesome. If you haven't looked into it, WTK is working on retail payments. They just migrated over and built on XDC, so now they're on Ethereum and XDC. It's your choice. So WTK is a good look. They're working on central bank digital currencies, and they have a really good team. MasterCard ties, really awesome. So check them out. So XDC network is also used by the ITFA. And if you're new to this, the ITFA is the International Trade and Forfeiting Association. The ITFA is worldwide trade association for companies, financial institutions, and intermediaries engaged in global trade, forfeiting, supply chain, and receivables financing. So this is huge. This is massive. They represent the rights and interests of banks, financial institutions, and service providers involved in trade risk and asset origination and distribution. So look at their website. Do some research. Like, if you're not doing research on this stuff, you're shooting yourself in the foot. If you're investing, you gotta know what you're investing in. You gotta research. If you're investing just because you see some YouTuber blowing out massive numbers and you're not putting in research before you invest, well, you're going to make bad decisions one day. You're not going to be calm. You're not going to know what you're doing. So always do your research. And let's just read a little bit more about them. ITFA is an association made up of circa 300 members from all over the world. ITFA brings together banks and financial institutions who are engaged in originating and distributing trade-related risk and finding creative ways to mitigate risk. And so what are they looking at here? Delivers unique opportunities for networking within a professional community. So we got a professional community that disseminates knowledge and provides education, contributes to a safe, transparent trade finance industry. They facilitate the expansion of trade and trade finance globally. So to sum it up before I get back to the mind map, the ITFA partnership in using XDC is huge. So my recommendations to you guys is do some research, dig into these partnerships, okay? So let's hop back to the mind map, and I hope you guys are blessed that you get to see this, because this isn't something you just Google and you see all these partnerships. This is from me doing research over the last couple years and following along with this network. So I'm going to move on forward and we'll keep going. Nigio, TradeFinex, and I showed you that. ITFA is also partnered with the UN, Money2Go, International Chamber of Commerce. They're all partnered with SWIFT. Money2Go is also partnered with IBM. Just show you this right here. So SWIFT to trial trade finance anti-fraud blockchain Money2Go. So Monetago has stated that in the first half this year, Monetago ran a proof of concept in Singapore. So that's very convenient that it's with, that's where we were just talking about the ADGM and around there in that region, the EMENA region, with 25 organizations that include the International Chamber of Commerce, the ICC, ITFA, Citibank, HSBC, SMBC, Standard Charter, Bolero, never heard of them, and blockchain platforms Marco Polo and Contour. So that is just some of the connections. And, you know, when you see regulated connections like this, it's just going to continue to grow over time because, you know, they've got regulatory approval because these big names wouldn't be partnering with them if they weren't doing something, revolutionizing something in the world. This was just a couple things. Inizio, the ITFA member powering the DNI initiative. TradeStream, both ITFA members, bring cloud computing to help banks and corporates digitalize trade documents, digitalization, processing, and validation. Huge. TradeTech, they're powering the TFD initiative. They also work with XDC Network. CargoX, they're a blockchain-based bill of lading platform leveraging hybrid blockchain technology. Sorry. Zinfin, an ITFA member with regulated entities in Singapore and UAE, provides an advanced tokenization and liquidity sourcing platform in support of trade finance and stablecoins. Woo! To bring retail and institutional liquidity to alternative lenders and traditional banks. So if you look into the lending and the trade organization, like in the process between banks and small medium enterprises, it's a mess. To try and get a credit line, it's a pain in the ass going through the legacy banking system. But when you have tokenization, it's now an asset class that anyone can invest in, right? So big things to come. So big shout out to this Anon, my Anon friend here on Twitter, XX113. Check him out. He creates these awesome artsy infographics. We go back and forth, and he creates the infographics that are sick. So XDC blockchain works with TradeFinex, which can also be plugged into Corda, TradeShift, QuickBooks. So a picture can say a lot of words. And take a look at that, study it, see what you can find. Now, I talked about the MLETR, the United Nations standard. He just did this today, December 30th, 2021. And this is just hitting it. So this is a deeper outlook. Like, take a step back, study some of these things. So you got the United Nations. They're putting this United Nations Commission on International Trade Law. They produced the MLETR, which is a document standard, for example, right over here. So that's the document standard that creates an interoperability DDoS system that any blockchain network can interoperate with. For example, TradeTrust and, for example, XDC Network. They interoperate through the MLETR standard, global DDoS standard for global trade finance. Okay. You got the ICC. So the International Chamber of Commerce. Watch my other video. It goes deep in depth on what they use, how they do it, blah, blah, blah. Partnered with the ITFA, Monetago, Hyperledger, R3, SFA, IBM, NASDAQ, MasterCard, R3. Like, it's all connected. There's a lot of, if you want to understand regulated blockchain finance, these are seedlings. We are still, you didn't miss the boat. Look at XDC's only at 9 cents today. As I'm doing this video, it's at 9 cents. You could buy 100,000 tokens for $9 grand American. Well, when it hits $1, it's 100 grand. Hits $2, it's 200 grand. Not financial advice. I'm just showing you the numbers in bigger terms. So, Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good basic understanding for you guys. Let me see. Is there any other things? So I talk about how the digitalization is changing law. We went over some good topics, trade finance. Yeah, I think that's good to get you guys started and go over this. Take notes. This program I use is called Figma, Figma. And if this inspires you, I suggest you guys build your own. Take screenshots. You see a news article that you're like, wow, sick. Put it on here. Keep track of your stuff, because over 3 years of time, if you did this from the start, if I did this from the start, my mind map would be 3 times as big. I just started doing this 8 months ago. So my suggestion is start now. And if you're serious, keep researching. Always keep learning. These markets are changing every day. You know, there's news coming out. There's stuff coming out. I've read through hundreds and hundreds of hours of regulated banking documents just so I could see what is going on, what's being innovated in the world. And, you know, the funny thing is, to end this off, is why doesn't mainstream media talk about some of this? You know, we're seeing blockchain innovating industries worldwide. Yet mainstream media is only talking about COVID-19 numbers. They're only talking about negative events that happened in the past. They're only, you know, where is the, hey, industries are being digitalized? You know, we're not seeing that. It's being covered up. They're filling our heads. We're being spoon-fed garbage that puts fear and anxiety into our heads. But where's the innovation? What's changing? Why aren't they telling us innovative markets? Well, because they don't want us to get rich. They don't want us to make money that's more than a couple percent. You know, a high risk savings account in a bank, they're paying 0.5% if you're lucky. 0.5%. That's, you're losing 7.5% at least on inflation in your bank account. Yet they don't talk about any of these innovative networks that are changing the world. So that's why I'm creating this content, is because I want to help other citizens see this stuff, help spark a fire in your mind. And to finish it off, just for proof, because I missed this, is to show sorry. Look it. You can move 2.3 million XDC and it caught transaction fee fraction of a cent. 2.4, like look at 2.4, fraction of a cent. All fraction of a cent transaction fees. And it settles in 2 seconds. It's like XRP's little brother. We know XRP is the same. Fraction of a cent. I will get into that, and I'm going to create more content on other networks, but I want to get the deep information out there to help you guys learn. Okay, citizens of the future, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what you didn't like. And I hope you guys have a great night, and I hope this helped. So leave some feedback, share it. Citizen of the future, out.